When you pray, then you are in touch with your higher consciousness. Pray. Pray. Prayer is power. Pray. 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 Prayer is power. Prayer is power. What are you going to do? Pray. 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 When you pray, then you are in touch with your higher consciousness. Pray. 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 Prayer is power. Prayer is power. Pray. Prayer is power. When you pray, then you are in touch with your higher consciousness. Pray. Pray. Prayer is power. Prayer is power. Prayer is power. Pray. Pray. Prayer is power. Prayer is power. Prayer is power. What are you going to do? Pray. Pray. Pray.
Welcome, everyone. Today is July 6th, Wednesday, 2022, in the location where I am, which right now is in Florida. Thank you for joining us for the Planetary Pooja. We're doing this now on the Religion of Religions channel every day, Monday through Friday during the week. And we're using the chart of now, meaning the chart that's showing the relationship of the various planets in the sky, the stars, based off the location where the puja is being performed, which is here in Florida. Dr. Pillai has said about the Religion of Religions channel, he said, the foundation of all religions is love. It is his desire that through the Religion of Religions channel to unite the many different sects of all religions by meeting in the spiritual realm, by meeting in the heart. We believe in this supreme divine power taking form in all gods and goddesses from every other religion and celebrate their existence on planet Earth. The intention is also to give an authentic experience of God, the experience of divine love, where there is no separation from each other. So thank you for joining us today in this spirit of unity, this spirit of wholeness, and this spirit of love as we do this planetary puja. I'm using a sidereal chart, a Vedic chart, and I'm also including the 3 outer planets, as Dr. Pillai has had statues commissioned for the 3 outer planets in his temple in India, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. I'm Swamini Valli. I'm a Pillai Center teacher and an AstroVed astrologer, and I am your host for this puja. So I'm happy to encounter you, and thank you so much for being here. The planets are all living beings. They're more than just a physical form in the sky. They all have a being associated with them as well, as do the stars. And all of the planets have a purpose and an influence in our life. And the different stars are also transmitting different energies. And the stars are also ruled by different archetypes, deities, gods, goddesses, if you will. And they're also sending blessings to us if we're open to receive them. The point of doing a puja where we honor all these beings is to be connecting with them and inviting their positive blessings into our lives and also onto our planet. These beings exist both out there and also inside of us. We're all interconnected. So for this puja, we're going to be working with the chart of now. This is the chart that's active right here in this location. What this chart is, it's using the South Indian style layout. And each of these little boxes is representing one of the 12 zodiac signs. There's a link below the video where there's a link to a video that's a tutorial about the South Indian style chart if you're not familiar with it. We're going to start the puja this morning with the ascendant sign. AC here stands for ascendant in the sign of Leo. Each of the boxes is a different zodiac sign, and those different zodiac signs are always in the same box. So if you become familiar with the layout, just like years ago, maybe we had to learn on a map where is north, where is south, where is west, etc. If you start to become familiar with the names of these different boxes, it may make the puja a more enjoyable experience for you. Someone yesterday asked about the different planetary mantras. I've put a link up above in the chat that links over to a place for the mantras for each of the planets, including the 3 outer planets, if you are someone who's not familiar with those. This is based off a puja that Dr. Pillai taught to myself and Raja, Mina's brother, several years ago. And he asked us to do it by drawing the chart of the moment on a little chalkboard. And I have my little chalkboard set up on a side table here. I've drawn this chart in chalk on my chalkboard. And as we go along through the puja, I'll be offering flower petals onto my chart on the chalkboard in the little boxes as it's appropriate. You can just follow along by watching the video. You don't have to have a chalkboard, but some of you may want to do this using a whiteboard or a piece of paper and pen, something that can lay flat where you can offer flower petals if you want to do that. Or someone said they were just going to take like a saucer and put flower petals onto the saucer, perhaps in front of the screen, in that way as we were going along. And that's fine too. You can definitely adapt to your situation, or just offer flowers mentally. That's acceptable too. I also have a little bit of water. I have a little tea light candle lit. I have a bell and I have a fan as things I'm going to use as we go through the puja. I'm going to start with taking a little bit of water and put a few drops of it on each side of the blackboard where I'm going to be offering the flower petals, helping to create a purified and sacred space for the puja. And I'm also putting a little drop of flower, a little drop of water on top of me to purify myself. And I'm also sending a little drop of water out into space to help purify all the listeners, both those watching it live and anyone watching it later on the replay. So we're all in a sacred space for doing the puja. We start the puja with first invoking Ganesha. We invoke him, Dr. Pillai said we would invoke him with the sounds Om Sring Gung, Sring Gung. We'll invoke him 3 times. Om Sring Gung, Om Sring Gung, Om Sring Gung. We ask Ganesha to come and to remove all obstacles from this puja for everyone. And we thank him for his help with this. Now we invoke a chant that was given to us by Saint Gnanasamundar, a Tamil saint who lived several centuries ago. He was enlightened at a very early age, and he left the body, just dissolved it into light. So he was someone who acquired the light body before he left the incarnation. He gave a chant for invoking all the planets to be beneficial towards us. And this is just a little stanza from that larger hymn that Dr. Pillai said that we would do 3 times at the start of the puja. You can just listen to this. I know I have an American accent, so if you are Tamil, please forgive my pronunciation of the sounds. Asura Nalla Nalla, Aveya Nalla Nalla, Atiyar Arvuke Mikave, Asura Nalla Nalla, Aveya Nalla Nalla, Atiyar Arvuke Mikave, Asura Nalla Nalla, Aveya Nalla Nalla, Atiyar Arvuke Mikave. We ask all of the planets to be beneficial towards us, and we thank them for their help with this. And we thank Saint Gnanasamundar for giving us this chant. I see someone asking in the chat, will we be able to see you while you do the puja? For right now, no, I'm able to do this right now over Zoom, posting the chart. For my location, I'm not able to, at the moment, show you the blackboard and the flower petals as they're being dropped. Perhaps in the future, I'll be set up to do that, but for right now, you're simply following along. I did this puja years ago, just over teleconference, over the phone, where the people weren't even seeing the chart. And many people still continued to come and receive benefit from that. Dr. Pillai has said all the names of these divine beings is a mantra in and of itself. So as we invoke them, we're invoking these quantum sounds that have a vibration that helps to shift us and transform our consciousness. So even though you can't see the puja, the fact that we're united together in spirit across time and space in different places and joining in on the sounds as we know them, listening to them, receiving them, will help take all of us into a deeper and higher state of consciousness. So that's the answer to that question for now, Christine. If you could hold the rest of the questions until the end, I'll take questions then at that time. Thank you. We start the puja by first invoking the planet that rules the day. Today is Wednesday in my location, which is ruled by the planet Mercury. I'm going to offer 3 flower petals to Mercury. Each time I do a chant, I'm going to place a flower petal on top of Mercury on my little chalkboard in that place of the chart. Om Budaya Namaha. Om Budaya Namaha. Om Budaya Namaha. Next, Dr. Pillai said we would invoke the star that the moon is in. The moment the moon is in a star called Hasta, a star represented as an open hand and blessing. We invoke that star, and I'll put the flower petals on top of the moon because he's the one that's in that star right now. Om Hastaye Namaha. Om Hastaye Namaha. Om Hastaye Namaha. Next, Dr. Pillai said we would invoke the Tithi, or the moon phase. In my location, the moon is now in the 8th waxing moon, which is called Ashtami in Sanskrit. He said we would use the Sanskrit name and add the word Devye to help invoke the archetype. Om Ashtami Devye Namaha. Om Ashtami Devye Namaha. Om Ashtami Devye Namaha. Next, we invoke the planet that rules the hour. In my location, we are in an hour right now that's ruled by Jupiter. I'm going to invoke Jupiter and put the flower petals on top of Jupiter on the chart on my blackboard. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Next, we're also going to invoke the yoga and the karana, which are 2 different time elements active right now. Dr. Pillai said for these, we wouldn't use flower petals. We would just say their names 3 times. So the yoga right now is called pariga, which means obstruction. Pariga, pariga, pariga. And the karana right now has moved into vishti, which is inefficient. Vishti, vishti, vishti. Just acknowledging these time elements does put blessings through to all of us. Now we are going to turn our attention to the actual chart. The ascendant at the moment is in the sign of Leo, where you see the AC on the chart. This sign is ruled by the sun. Dr. Pillai said we would always start with the planet that rules the ascendant of the moment. The ascendant is a sign that's coming up on the eastern horizon right now in this location. Leo is ruled by the sun. I'm going to invoke the sun and put flower petals there. Om Suryaya Namaha. Om Suryaya Namaha. Om Suryaya Namaha. Then from the ascendant, we go to the first little box, the sign that has a planet in it, which this is the moon sitting in the sign of Virgo. We invoke the moon. Om Chandraya Namaha. Om Chandraya Namaha. Om Chandraya Namaha. The moon is in the star of Hasta, the open hand and blessing. Again, we invoke Hasta. Om Hastaye Namaha. Om Hastaye Namaha. Om Hastaye Namaha. Hasta is ruled by Savitur, the archetype. Savitur is a form of the sun, and he is an energy that is a speciality of the sun associated with creativity, stimulating energy. He gives blessings of inspiration. And his mother is the goddess Aditi, who we're going to invoke later in the puja. But his mother happens to be Aditi. So we're invoking Savitur, that form of the sun. Om Saviturye Namaha. Om Saviturye Namaha. Om Saviturye Namaha. Hasta is ruled by the moon. Again, we invoke the moon. Om Chandraya Namaha. Om Chandraya Namaha. Om Chandraya Namaha. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. We invoke Mercury, and I'm putting flower petals on top of Mercury. Om Buddhaya Namaha. Om Buddhaya Namaha. Om Buddhaya Namaha. We pause for a moment and reflect on the sign of Virgo, the most analytical and logical of all of the signs, today containing the moon, which is our mind and our emotions. We pause for a moment and reflect on this. The next Rasi or sign with a planet in it is Tula or Libra, which today contains Ketu. We honor Ketu. Om Ketave Namaha. Om Ketave Namaha. Om Ketave Namaha. Ketu is in the star of Vishaka, a competitive star, a star with energies of success, victory consciousness. Om Vishakaye Namaha. Om Vishakaye Namaha. Om Vishakaye Namaha. Vishaka is ruled by a pair of archetypes, Indra and Agni. Indra is an archetype that gives blessings of leadership and power, and Agni is the god of the fire element. He gives blessings of energy and also the blessing of purification. We invoke Indra Agni. Om Indra Agniye Namaha. Om Indra Agniye Namaha. Om Indra Agniye Namaha. Vishaka is ruled by Jupiter. We invoke Jupiter, and I put the flower petals on top of Jupiter. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Next, we invoke Venus, as Venus is the planet that rules Tula or Libra. I put the flower petals on top of Venus. Om Shukraya Namaha. Om Shukraya Namaha. Om Shukraya Namaha. We pause for a moment and reflect on Tula or Libra, today, which is a sign of harmony and balance, today containing Ketu, the saintly planet that helps us to long for liberation. We pause for a moment and reflect on this. The next Rasi or sign with the planet in it is Makara or Capricorn, which today contains Pluto. Pluto is retrograde and extra powerful. We invoke Pluto. Om Krum Kruntankaya Namaha. Om Krum Kruntankaya Namaha. Om Krum Kruntankaya Namaha. Pluto is in the star of Uttarashada, a star of success that's long-lasting. Om Uttarashadaye Namaha. Om Uttarashadaye Namaha. Om Uttarashadaye Namaha. Uttarashada is ruled by the 10 Visvadevas, who are archetypes who are sons of Brahma. They were created out of the mind of Brahma. We invoke their blessings. Om Visvadevasye Namaha. Om Visvadevasye Namaha. Om Visvadevasye Namaha. We invoke the planet that rules Uttarashada, which is the sun. Om Suryaya Namaha. Om Suryaya Namaha. Om Suryaya Namaha. Now we invoke the planet that rules Capricorn, which is Saturn. Om Sanisharaya Namaha. Om Sanisharaya Namaha. Om Sanisharaya Namaha. We pause for a moment and reflect on Makara or Capricorn, a sign of ancient past life skills and abilities, today containing Pluto, a planet that Dr. Pillai says can help us with rationality and science. We pause for a moment and reflect on this. The next Rasi or sign with the planet in it is Kumbha or Aquarius, which today contains Saturn. Saturn is retrograde and extra powerful. We invoke the blessings of Saturn. Om Sanisharaya Namaha. Om Sanisharaya Namaha. Om Sanisharaya Namaha. Saturn is in the star of Dhanishta, a star of music and good reputation and wealth. Om Dhanishtaye Namaha. Om Dhanishtaye Namaha. Om Dhanishtaye Namaha. Dhanishta is ruled by the 8 Vasus, archetypes who are beings of light, who each can bring forward beautiful energies onto our planet. Om Vasusye Namaha. Om Vasusye Namaha. Om Vasusye Namaha. Dhanishta is ruled by Mars. We invoke Mars, and I put the flower petals on top of Mars. Om Mangalaya Namaha. Om Mangalaya Namaha. Om Mangalaya Namaha. Kumbha or Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. We invoke again the blessings of Saturn. Om Sanisharaya Namaha. Om Sanisharaya Namaha. Om Sanisharaya Namaha. We pause for a moment and reflect on Kumbha or Aquarius, the most humanitarian of all the signs, today containing Saturn, a planet that can help us with patience and discipline. Saturn is always very happy when we are compassionate and willing to be of service to others. We pause for a moment and reflect on this. The next Rasi or sign with the planet in it is Meena or Pisces, which today contains Neptune and Jupiter. Neptune right now is retrograde. Dr. Pillai says Neptune can help us with intuition, the ability to understand our inner self. Om Vam Varunaye Namaha. Om Vam Varunaye Namaha. Om Vam Varunaye Namaha. Neptune today is in the star of Purva Bhadrapada, a star of transformational energies and a tremendous fire of Kundalini. Om Purva Bhadrapadaye Namaha. Om Purva Bhadrapadaye Namaha. Om Purva Bhadrapadaye Namaha. Purva Bhadrapada is ruled by Aja Ekapada, a one-footed archetype who can give blessings of helping us to experience silence and forgiveness. Om Aja Ekapadaye Namaha. Om Aja Ekapadaye Namaha. Om Aja Ekapadaye Namaha. Purva Bhadrapada is ruled by Jupiter. We honor Jupiter. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Next, we invoke Jupiter for being in Meena or Pisces. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Jupiter is in the star Uttara Bhadrapada, a star that Dr. Pillai says helps with business development. Om Uttara Bhadrapadaye Namaha. Om Uttara Bhadrapadaye Namaha. Om Uttara Bhadrapadaye Namaha. Uttara Bhadrapada is ruled by Arbundiya, a deity of the deep, like the deep of the oceans. He's kind of in a dragon or a serpent form, and he has abilities of wisdom, and he also helps with guarding treasure. Om Arbundiyaye Namaha. Om Arbundiyaye Namaha. Om Arbundiyaye Namaha. Now we invoke the planet that rules Meena or Pisces, which is Jupiter. Again, we invoke Jupiter. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. We pause for a moment and reflect on Meena or Pisces, the most transcendental and metaphysical of all the signs, today containing Neptune, a planet that helps with our intuition, and Jupiter, a planet that helps us to be receptive to spiritual teachings and spiritual teachers, as well as helping us with wealth, banking, and legal matters. We pause for a moment and reflect on this. The next Rasi or sign with a planet in it is Misha or Aries, which today contains Mars, Uranus, and Rahu. We honor Mars. Om Mangalaya Namaha. Om Mangalaya Namaha. Om Mangalaya Namaha. Right now, Mars is in the star of Ashwini, a star with tremendous healing energies and also associated with the energy of speed. Om Ashwiniye Namaha. Om Ashwiniye Namaha. Om Ashwiniye Namaha. Ashwini is ruled by the Ashwini Kumars, horse-headed twins whose father is actually the sun. They have so much healing power, they're actually considered the physicians, even of the gods. Om Ashwini Kumarsye Namaha. Om Ashwini Kumarsye Namaha. Om Ashwini Kumarsye Namaha. Ashwini is ruled by Ketu. We honor Ketu. Om Ketave Namaha. Om Ketave Namaha. Om Ketave Namaha. Next, we're going to invoke both Uranus and Rahu, who happen to right now both be in the same star. So we'll invoke both of those planets before we invoke the star. We first will start invoking Uranus. Dr. Pillai has said Uranus is a kind of a sky god, and he helps us with high intelligence, innovation, and success in life. Om Ram Prajapataye Namaha. Om Ram Prajapataye Namaha. Om Ram Prajapataye Namaha. Next, we invoke Rahu, the north node of the moon in some systems. He's also known for helping us with innovation, openness to new ideas, and he also helps us to be open to new technologies. Dr. Pillai has said Rahu can even help friends with the technologies of 10 years from now. Om Rahave Namaha. Om Rahave Namaha. Om Rahave Namaha. Uranus and Rahu are both in the star of Bharani, a star symbolized with the yoni symbol, which is the symbol for the female private parts. This star has tremendous Shakti, or divine feminine energy. Om Bharaniye Namaha. Om Bharaniye Namaha. Om Bharaniye Namaha. Bharani is ruled by Yama, who is an archetype very much associated with Dharma and justice. Om Yamaye Namaha. Om Yamaye Namaha. Om Yamaye Namaha. Bharani is ruled by Venus. Om Shukraya Namaha. Om Shukraya Namaha. Om Shukraya Namaha. Next, we invoke the planet that rules Misha or Aries, which is Mars. Again, we invoke Mars. Om Mangalaya Namaha. Om Mangalaya Namaha. Om Mangalaya Namaha. We pause for a moment and reflect on Misha or Aries, a sign with a great deal of action energy, today containing Mars, a warrior healer planet, Uranus, planet of intelligence, innovation, and Rahu, planet of openness to new ideas, new technologies. We pause for a moment and reflect on this. The next Rasi or sign with the planet in it is Vrishabha or Taurus, which today contains Venus. We honor Venus. Om Shukraya Namaha. Om Shukraya Namaha. Om Shukraya Namaha. Venus is in the star of Rohini, a star of beauty. Om Rohiniye Namaha. Om Rohiniye Namaha. Om Rohiniye Namaha. Rohini is ruled by Brahma, an archetype of creativity and the ability to manifest. Om Brahmaye Namaha. Om Brahmaye Namaha. Om Brahmaye Namaha. Rohini is ruled by the moon. Om Chandraya Namaha. Om Chandraya Namaha. Om Chandraya Namaha. Vrishabha or Taurus is ruled by Venus. Again, we invoke Venus. Om Shukraya Namaha. Om Shukraya Namaha. Om Shukraya Namaha. We pause for a moment and reflect on Vrishabha or Taurus, a grounded and luxury-loving sign, today containing Venus, a planet of happiness and material plane comforts. We pause for a moment and reflect on this. The next Rasi or sign with a planet in it is Mithuna or Gemini, and it contains Mercury and the Sun. We first invoke Mercury. Om Buddhaya Namaha. Om Buddhaya Namaha. Om Buddhaya Namaha. Mercury has moved into the star of Ardra, a star symbolized with a teardrop of compassion. We invoke Ardra. Om Ardraye Namaha. Om Ardraye Namaha. Om Ardraye Namaha. Ardra is ruled by Rudra, a form of Shiva who destroys negativity. Om Rudraye Namaha. Om Rudraye Namaha. Om Rudraye Namaha. Ardra is ruled by Rahu. We invoke Rahu. Om Rahave Namaha. Om Rahave Namaha. Om Rahave Namaha. Next, we invoke the sun. Om Suryaya Namaha. Om Suryaya Namaha. Om Suryaya Namaha. The sun has moved into Purnavasu, a star with the energy of freedom. Om Purnavasaye Namaha. Om Purnavasaye Namaha. Om Purnavasaye Namaha. Purnavasu is ruled by Aditi, a goddess who is considered the mother of many of the other archetypes. We invoke this beautiful divine feminine goddess. Om Aditye Namaha. Om Aditye Namaha. Om Aditye Namaha. Next, we invoke the planet that rules Purnavasu, which is Jupiter. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Om Gurave Namaha. Now we invoke the planet that rules Mithuna or Gemini, which is Mercury. Om Buddhaya Namaha. Om Buddhaya Namaha. Om Buddhaya Namaha. We pause for a moment and reflect on Mithuna or Gemini, a sign with a great range of energies, today containing Mercury, planet of communication, and also the planet of business, and the planet that helps us to manage our daily affairs, and the planet that helps us to have a good sense of humor. And it also contains the sun, which is our soul, and also the sun is the life-giving energy for our planet. He helps us with our health, high intelligence, and he helps us to experience energies of universal tolerance, universal friendship. We pause for a moment and reflect on this. I'm now taking a tealight and I'm going to offer it 3 times around the chart in a little clockwise direction over the top of my blackboard that has all these flower petals piled up on it. What I'm doing is offering the element of light to all of these divine beings that we have just invoked. Next, I'm taking a little fan. Some of you could use an incense stick, but I have a housemate who's sensitive to scent. And I'm just waving the little hand fan gently around the chart, the top of this little chart that I've drawn with the flower petals 3 times, offering the element of air. And now I'm going to take a bell and offer that 3 times in a clockwise direction over the top of the blackboard with the flower petals, offering the element of sound. We ask all of these divine beings that we have just invoked for their positive blessings for us, our families, our friends, our communities, our countries, and the planet as a whole. We pray to them and we ask that everyone on this planet may have healthy food to eat, clean water to drink, clean air to breathe, a safe place to live, good clothes to wear, access to health care, good education, sustainable jobs. And we ask that everyone on this planet have love in their life now and always. And we put our hands together and make our bow. We thank them for their help with this. You can continue to make your personal prayers in a minute, and I'll take some questions. Thank you all for being here. I very much appreciate your presence and your joining together in prayer, honoring the planets and the stars and the archetypes. I can take questions for just a few minutes. I'm not sure that I've seen any question go by that I haven't answered. I do ask that you please not post your personal details like an address or your birth information. I can't do astrology consultations over this channel through this program. I do consultations through AstroVed, and I think there's a link below the video for how to do that. But if there are any other questions, I did include today at the top of the chat the link for the planetary mantras that someone had asked about yesterday. And I don't know if you're having any other questions or just joining in. I don't want to hold up your morning or your afternoon or your evening by going on with a lot of blah, blah. But I do want to take any questions. I know this is a more advanced form of puja, but I also know that many of you are older souls. Some of you have probably studied astrology in some of your past lives. Astrology is often a branch of different traditions. I know that in Buddhism, in Taoism, in Zoroastrianism, in ancient Egypt, in ancient Greece. I know that in ancient, the Jewish tradition, that the temple that Jesus would have gone to as a Jew, that there was the symbols for the zodiac were in a mosaic form on the floor of that temple. I know that the wise men who came to see Jesus followed a star across the desert. So if you describe someone as a Christian who's following Jesus, they would have been perhaps the first Christians, those Zoroastrian astrologers who came across the desert to honor the child Jesus. So it's something that touches all of us, the planets, the stars. We're interconnected with all the living energies. And when we start to pay attention to the higher aspects of these beings, their positive blessings can start to flow into us because we're becoming receptive. It is a true divine principle that we have free will, and we are not, God can't force the light into us. We have to be receptive to it. So when we honor these different beings, their light can flow into us. I see Pamela asking in the chat, when do we put the flower petals down? I'm offering individual flower petals every time I say a mantra, when I'm starting to work with the chart, or even at the beginning when I'm working with the planet that rules the day. As I say those 3 mantras, each time I say a mantra, I'm putting a flower petal down on my chart for that planet. Or if I'm honoring the star of the day, I put the flower petals down on top of the moon because he's the one that's in that star. So that's when I'm offering them. I'm offering them continually as we're doing these. So that's what I do with the flower petals, Pamela. I hope that explains it. And again, you're not required to do flower petals yourself. You can, just listen. Just even hearing the sounds, Dr. Playa said, is beneficial because the names, each of the names is a mantra in and of itself. But that was a good question. So I hope that was what you meant, was when do you lay them on your little chart, maybe that you've drawn at home. That's when you do that. Okay. And then later in the day, I will discard the flower petals that are on my little blackboard. I'll gently put them into the garden, into a place where people don't walk. If you live in an apartment and you don't have access to, let's say, a park or someplace where you can go put the flower petals, if you have to put them in the trash, that's okay. Sometimes people will put them into a stream or a river if they live near that. There is a mantra you sing at the beginning. Is it possible to type it down? I know that it's written down in the club.astroved.com site in the category where I think it says something like prayers and mantras. It is written down there. I could try to add it perhaps to the mantra list for the planetary mantras, but I can't type it down right now. I won't be able to spell it properly. I'm a little bit high after I've done this. So I don't have a way right now to quickly copy and paste it for you. But I can try to maybe put it at the top of the chat, before we get started. I can perhaps put some of those mantras down. That's a good question, Christine. So thank you for that. I need to go ahead right now and end our session because we need to kind of stay on a schedule. On Friday, there will be something that's starting right after our program, and I need to allow Ronnie time to get into her Zoom and get everything set up. So we need to practice all during the week, being done by a certain time. So thank you all so much for being here. Hope you have a beautiful day, afternoon, evening, and I'll see some of you again tomorrow. Namaste.